I have entrepreneurship running through my veins, I think, since I was born. Started my first business when I was 13. I've had other businesses in between, some successes, some failures, and our most recent venture, which we're super excited about, have a software that is called Financial Fitness Passport. And that software is designed to educate America on how to be intelligent, how to be guided appropriately. So once they have the education, they know how to take action. I'm so passionate about this new project because financial advisors are typically going after the top 5% of the population, but the bottom 95% is so underserved.
You and I are on the same page. Like, first of all, even though I do mortgage for a living, right? So ironically, I put people in debt, you could say, right? I mean, with what I do for a living. But on the same token, I'm very passionate about you can't make good decisions if you don't have financial understanding, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with any financial decision you make, right? Good or bad, because they could have good or bad outcomes, right? Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Financial Mastery Simplified. I am your host, Jacqueline or Jax Crider. Today we've got Scott on. He is an expert in the financial wealth space, kind of the Fintech space, a little bit of the cross section there. So welcome, Scott. Tell us a little bit more about like who you are, what you do, and why you're excited to be on the show today.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I am super excited to be on the show today with you, Jax. You do an awesome job. And I'll get into why I'm excited in a second. But real quick about me, I am 21 years in the financial services industry. I own a boutique financial planning firm helping individuals, businesses, plan everything in their financial life to make sure that they're making smart financial decisions. And most people are flying by the seat of their pants, just hoping one day it's all going to just work out. That's that. And I have entrepreneurship running through my veins, I think, since I was born. Started my first business when I was 13. I've had other businesses in between, some successes, some failures, and our most recent venture, which we're super excited about, because you mentioned the Fintech space, have a software that is called Financial Fitness Passport. And that software is designed to educate America on how to be intelligent, how to be guided appropriately. So once they have the education, they know how to take action. And the software is completely driven by my AI agent, Penny, who actually gets to learn user behavior, learns what the user inputs so that she could provide not just generalized education. She'll do that too, but she'll answer specific questions based upon user activity. And so the reason why I'm excited to be here today is I'm so passionate about this new project because financial advisors are typically going after the top 5% of the population, but the bottom 95% is so underserved. And there is a need for this, and there is not a single software solution that exists in this capacity today. And I'm just really excited to talk about it and how I can help people and change the financial services industry.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, you and I are on the same page. Like, first of all, even though I do mortgage for a living, right? So ironically, I put people in debt, you could say, right? I mean, with what I do for a living. But on the same token, I'm very passionate about you can't make good decisions if you don't have financial understanding, right? Even in the mortgage space, like I'm unusual in that I challenge people, right? Like I'm not anti them doing a loan, buying the house that they want or whatever, but I am anti them making a decision, putting themselves in that debt without understanding why are we doing it? What are our motivations? You know, what does this look like long term? Like we have to sort of have this construct built around it because there's absolutely nothing wrong with any financial decision you make, right? Good or bad, because they could have good or bad outcomes, right? Like none of
Absolutely.
us know the future. Like we don't know if, we're going to lose our job tomorrow or, we're going to get a giant raise, right? Or we're going to win the lottery or fill in the
Hmm.
blank, right? Like we don't know any of these things. And so we're only making them from a place of what's the best thing for our family and then the education behind, right? Like this is how money works. This is how I can use it smartly. And so I agree with you. It's like actually part of the reason that I started this to begin with is I have a background in a lot of financial just education in general. Like I did a lot of it growing up. I jokingly say that I got to learn finances even if I didn't want to because my mom made me read
Yeah.
sound mind investing in seventh grade. So I got to understand money, like even if I didn't want to. And then I did all of these things in the more, in the money space. Like I sold property and casualty insurance, like home and auto. I've dealt with the mortgage side. I have a law degree, like all of these things. And they sort of like when they start intersecting, I mean, I didn't realize like how much information I had. So I just said, you know what? Too much is given, much is required. I better, put my money where my mouth is. I want to educate people. I'm gonna start a
Yeah.
podcast, and I get to talk to really cool people like you. And so, I think that that's super interesting. So I'm assuming you said that obviously Penny can teach basic financial concepts, right? So like just the general stuff that you could probably Google and maybe figure out by piecemealing it together. But then you also said that it can sort of tailor. Is that sort of what I understood, or am
Yeah.
I wrong in
So,
that?
well, you just pointed out some real critical points, um, just based on your background. So if you think about it, right? Let's think about, you mentioned property and casualty insurance as an example. Everybody needs, if you own a home, especially if you have a mortgage, the bank is requiring that you have property and casualty insurance,
Right.
right?
Same with the car. If you have a car
Exactly.
and you have a note on it, they're gonna make you have
We're
car
going to,
insurance. You got to have it.
exactly. So this is all stuff that you have to have. But think about it. That's a product. And then people buy these products based upon what they think they need at the time. And
Right.
they're trying to be responsible. And what's interesting about property and casualty also is the people who are selling it, like you have a license to sell it, and someone's going to call you and say, okay, I'm getting this car, I'm getting this home. And of course, everyone's like, I want to pay as little as possible for my insurance, especially because
Oh
they
yeah,
think you're never going to use it. The
for sure.
problem is what happens. They sacrifice the benefit and leave themselves potentially exposed,
Yep.
right? So, for example, I had a client who had called. I hadn't reviewed his, and we're licensed in property and casualty also. It's part of what we do on the planning side. But, this is a client that hadn't looked at his documents. I'm not licensed in the state of West Virginia. He was there and hadn't reviewed it. So I guess through the years, he'd made some changes and what have you. And unfortunately, he hit somebody on a motorcycle and it was absolutely his fault. Did not have enough on the liability side, and it opened himself. He has a big issue as it relates to, okay, well, now I have assets. Insurance company's only going to pay out what the liability limits are, and he's potentially on the hook for the rest. And
Yep.
so when property and casualty insurance agents are selling this stuff, they don't know someone's entire financial life. And that's
No.
why it's important for consumers to know what they have and utilize a system like Financial Fitness Passport, where, like you said, they could go and Google, or even now, people say to me, well, what's difference? Why do I have to use your software? I'll just ask ChatGPT. And I'm like, okay, great. You can ask ChatGPT, but ChatGPT or Claude or Copilot or whatever you're using knows nothing about you,
Right.
right? So
It's
it'll say,
answering
okay,
generic questions.
exactly. So it's going to, or say, okay, well, typically you want to do this in this situation, but literally knows nothing about you. That's number one. Number two, you have to know what to even ask to begin
Right.
with.
Yeah.
So
Prompting is a big deal.
totally. So what Financial Fitness Passport does is it forces the user to open up the financial junk drawer, enter all of their information in the system, everything from their income and expenses, their property and casualty insurance, their life and disability, long-term care, their investments, their savings, literally everything. So this way, now Penny has a clear picture of
Right.
who you are. So then she can say, okay, based on this, right? Here's what I would recommend. Here are some questions that you may want to be asking your insurance advisor, your
Right.
investment advisor, to make sure that you're driving down the road in a Humvee and not a motorcycle.
Right. Well, I think that that's a really interesting point. So one thing that I'm gonna like share with some people is I actually sold property and casualty insurance for Geico, right? So of course everybody their big thing of course is like cost, right? That's of course
Yeah.
the way that they've advertised it, kind of positioned themselves. Is why I actually didn't stay there super long, is because they wanted me to like get through the quote process really, really fast. And for me, I'm all about education and wanting to make sure that I've asked you appropriate questions, that I have advise you appropriately, etc. And so many people, like when they're looking at the cheapest, what they forget is like you said, what they're giving up, but also how much cost is between the difference. Because what most people don't understand is like when you're talking about liability, like for instance in the state of Texas where I am, I think at last check we were 30/60 or 15/30, something like that. We
Or
our liability is fairly low.
5100 typically, like on the lowest level. Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty low, like on what the actual liability is.
Yeah.
The difference between the lowest level and the highest level, which is usually like 250,000 per person, 500,000 per accident, or 300, something like this, right? Something. And for those of you who don't understand insurance a lot, it's basically how many, thousands of dollars or whatever would pay out. It's usually a very minor amount. You're talking like 50, maybe $100 every 6 months. So it's pretty marginal. Then on the flip side, how often do you see people where they have a car, it's older, it's completely paid off or whatever, they're still paying for
Collision.
collision. And what is collision? So collision means if you wreck the car, it's found to be your fault. Okay. Now what is covering your car? And they're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars every 6 months, every year for a car that has a nominal amount of value, right? So if they actually took that money and they just set it aside in a savings account, it hypothetically would actually be better for them. But again, they're not looking from it from a truly dollars and cents perspective. Like they're not looking at it. And so this is why I talk all the time about having experts. And I think having experts and the intersect of technology, utilizing both, is super important,
Yeah.
because I get it, right? Our space has not done a great job at creating a high level of trust, because there is a lot of people that are just out for a quick buck in our space, right? In general. And so this creates a lot of distrust. And so you come to Scott, you come to me, and you are asking us high level questions. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, okay, but is Jax just really out to make a commission check off of me? Or does she actually care about me, my situation, or whatever? So this is where I do think that technology, even if it's not your software, something else, like it's good in the intersect, because you do have to have some understanding. But when you can have a technology platform where you could plug in, you can get a lot of good information, like what that is doing, then it makes you better educated to have conversations with, Scott, with me, with whoever. Then you're even more equipped to go farther with your financial situation. And let's be real, you'll talk to the technology faster than you're going to talk to Scott and I about what's really going on with your financial
Right.
picture, because you're embarrassed. Like I say that all the time. It's super hard because people are embarrassed to come to me. Well, my credit doesn't look great. Well, my whatever. You and I both know we're not judging them, right? It just is what it is. Like these are the facts. How do we fix it? How do we work forward? But people's perception is that we're going to judge them. We're going to say something negative.
Totally. And what we do in the onboarding process, so when we bring in when a user goes through setting up an account on Financial Fitness Passport, the whole thing takes about 2 minutes, and they get a temporary passport score. And the very first sentence that it says is, "This is not a judgment."
Right.
So that is the whole point. Like everything you're saying is spot on. And that's why people don't take action. They
Right.
don't take action because they just hope that everything is going to work out okay.
Right.
And they feel that if they go and speak to somebody, that they are going to get judged.
Right.
And that's not what it's about. I mean, look, our finances run our lives, and at the same time, when you have a situation that can completely derail you, think about how you feel at that point, right? Versus saying, okay, I may not be in the best situation right now, but I'm going
Right.
to do everything that I can to improve it. And if I follow these steps and I'm diligent about it, there's no reason why you can't be successful. Fulfill your goals, your
For
dream.
sure. Well, I use this example a lot because I don't have any shame in sharing my crazy ass story. So basically, the very long story short is that we own this big, expensive luxury property. And a lot of life situations happen where we were like, okay, it's fiscally responsible for us to sell it or whatever. Goes under contract for sale. We don't know if it was the buyer, the buyer's agent, or the inspector. They leave the half bath water running. It runs for 3.5 days. It floods the house. Does over $500,000 of damage to the house. Okay,
Oh my God.
more or less bankrupts us. Okay, puts us in a position where like now we've stripped pretty much all of our cash out or whatever. Like, I mean, we have our credits in the tank because we start going delinquent on a whole bunch of credit card debt, all these different things. And so a lot of people at this point would feel heavy amounts of shame. And I'm not going to say that it feels nice. Okay, it really doesn't feel nice when like you have collectors calling and all these different things or whatever. However, it's a situation like anything else in life, right? Did I make my daughter come 8 weeks, 2 days early and spend 47 days in the NICU? Nope. Did I make my industry start to shrink because of some of the housing situations that were occurring? Nope. Did I do any of these things, right? Was I the one who left the half bath water running, right? Nope. All of those things are no's. However, I now have to crawl out and figure out, how do I make my financial situation work? How do I go in and use the knowledge that I hold or the knowledge that I'm gaining from other people to fix my financial situation and fix my financial house and get myself in a position where I want to be? Now, I'm not going to lie and say that there isn't some level of shame or stress or frustration, especially imposter syndrome with what I do for a living and the fact that I educate people about money, right? Like I joke that maybe God put me in this position because I'm not afraid to speak to it. I'm not afraid to throw myself under the bus, so to speak,
Yeah.
about it. But the truth is, all of those things happen to everyone. Maybe some people are more prepared and so it happens on a smaller scale, and maybe some people, it happens in all at once. Like that's just, kind of how life goes. It doesn't make a difference. The truth is that like you said, you have to start from somewhere and you have to start with information. And the good news is with the creation of like things like what you have now, whereas let's be real, a financial advisor doesn't want to touch me. There's really nothing to make off of me. Now, I luckily have a lot of information to be able to build back, but now I can pay a paltry amount for this software that you house and say, okay, Penny, how do I fix the hot mess? Like, how do we get back to square one to get to a place where I can go back to building wealth like I know I'm capable of in a bigger, broader, badder way, right? How
Totally.
do I ensure I don't get there again?
Totally. Look, as I mentioned when we opened up the conversation, I've had my fair share of successes and failures. I mean, when I graduated from college, it was back in 1999. Originally, I was going to go to law school, but I didn't. So I know you're a recovering attorney, but um, yeah,
I never got the license for a reason because I never wanted to actually practice.
Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message from our sponsors.
Imagine having the power to control your financial destiny, no matter where you start. Welcome to the Financial Mastery Simplified course and resource platform, where financial education is tailored to your unique journey. We cover everything you need, from basic budgeting and saving strategies to advanced investing and retirement planning. Learn at your own pace with lessons that match your level of experience. Whether you're a beginner or looking to enhance your financial knowledge, join our community of learners and benefit from shared insights and expert guidance. The Financial Mastery Simplified course and resource platform equips you with the skills and confidence to take charge of your financial future. Ready to master your finances? Enroll in our courses today at the Financial Mastery Simplified course and resource platform. Start your path to financial independence now.
Visit us at fms.tips and fms.college for more information.
Hello and welcome to PBJ Mortgage, where your home ownership dreams become reality. Today, we want to share why choosing PBJ Mortgage is the right choice for your home financing needs. At PBJ Mortgage, we're built on a foundation of values that drive us every day. Our commitment to educate, empathize, and empower our clients sets us apart in the mortgage industry. Our clients are at the heart of everything we do, and their success stories speak volumes. With years of experience, our team possesses in-depth knowledge of the mortgage programs, ensuring you receive expert guidance and the best possible rates. We offer a diverse range of loan options to suit your unique needs, including conventional, FHA, VA, and more. No matter your situation, we've got a solution. At PBJ Mortgage, we pride ourselves on providing personalized service. Our dedicated loan officers are here to guide you every step of the way, making the process as smooth as making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We understand that time is of the essence, which is why we've streamlined our processes for efficiency and convenience. Transparency and clear communication are paramount. You'll always know where you stand throughout your mortgage journey. Reach out to us today to set up a call to discover your options. If you're ready to make your home ownership dreams a reality, contact PBJ Mortgage today. Let us empower you during this exciting journey. Phone number 4-693-733-107 www.pbjteam.com. Visit our website or give us a call to get started. We look forward to helping you secure your future home. PBJ Mortgage, where home begins.
Thanks for your patience.
So I was going to go to law school, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start a business. .com was booming. And so I started a .com business, and then the NASDAQ crashed. Then 9/11 happened because I was in the event space. It was all about the entertainment industry.
Right.
And I had just kept investing money. Like you said, I was utilizing credit cards. So, the difference between good debt and bad debt, and credit cards are
For
the
sure.
devil, right? I took out these small business loans. At the time, I was 23 or 24 years old, and I was $250,000 in debt. And the only way out of it was to declare bankruptcy. And
Yep.
it's okay. I'm happy to talk about it because you can recover. Now, a lot of people would just sit in a corner and cower and be like, I'm shameful, I'm a loser, whatever it is. To me, I looked at it as one of the greatest learning experiences in my life, where I was able to grab the bull by the horns and build a multi-million-dollar business from there. So, it was just, you got to look at it as a learning experience.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also, this happens a lot when people are going through major transition in their life too, right? Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm in a mom's group and you've got a woman who is potentially looking to leave the marriage for whatever the reason may be, right? Maybe it's some level of unfortunate like abuse, right? Maybe not like physical, but like, emotional or even financial abuse, right? Things like this or whatever. Or people are like the other spouse, like the other person's deciding to leave, right? Or maybe a major job loss or situations like this. And so now, they're trying to figure out, like, they thought they had it all together, right? It looked good on paper, right? Like they weren't, like you, I think the blessing in there is that you were pretty young, right? Like when this is happening. And so you had like kind of your whole life ahead of you. But a lot of times what's happening is it's happening later in life. I mean, when this is happening to me, here I am, I'm 40 years old, sleeping in my mom's house, right? Like I'm celebrating my 40th birthday, like back at my parents. The thing I'm super independent. I'm super, confident. I'm super the person that goes out there and gets it. And like, here I am, humbling myself and being back at my parents' house at 40 years old. Right. And I think sometimes people forget when it comes to money and dealing with money that, it doesn't always discriminate, right? It doesn't always have to happen when you're young, like, because again, life happens, over the course of time. And so it is so important that we utilize experts, right? Like, you and things like that. Like when you are going through maybe a divorce, that you're utilizing great quality attorneys who are trying to help you navigate it, creating a team, but then also having resources like what you've created. So we can go, we can get the information that we're needing, we can sort of start having a little bit of a path and a plan for success or whatever. You don't know this, but I have a program called Financial Mastery Simplified. And in essence, what I do is bring you to some of the realization of some of the underpinning of the emotional components of why you're not making some of the decisions you need to make.
So
Because
let's
a lot of times that's what's actually holding you back. It's not the math. The math is actually the easy part, right? Like that's literally the thing that doesn't change. It's all of the emotional junk that is holding you back because you feel bad about shame or whatever it is, or my parents said I needed to do it this way and I haven't been doing it that way, or whatever the case.
So let's talk about two things that you said. One, divorce. That's a big one. And what I can tell you from all of my years in practice, where I find financial and divorce the most detrimental is actually women. So I will just, this is kind of like a PSA. I am a strong believer that even if there is one person in the household, which there typically is, one spouse is like, okay, I'm going to take care of the money. And that could be the man or the woman. Doesn't matter. Typically, the other spouse, in the event of a divorce, is completely left in the dark, has
Yep.
no idea where things are, where to start, zero education, because they became so reliant.
Yep.
But I do see that more with women. So I'm just going to say that even if you have a spouse who is the one who handles the money, whether they make more money or not is irrelevant. It's just the handling of the finances. Get involved, learn.
Yep.
Because the reality of it is, it's a coin toss. We all hope that our marriages are going to last forever, but
For sure.
50%, 52% chance that it's not. And if it happens, you want to know that you're prepared and you know where everything is. That's number one. Number two, like I've been through the rodeo. I was divorced, cost me an arm and a leg, had to rebuild again, so like I've been through it. And a lot of people, they get divorced and they're like, oh, woe is me. And I have no money and I don't know what to do. And then that brings me into what you were saying before, again, going back to kind of that shame, etc. And I think you said the emotional side. I look at it as behavior. Like anything else, behavior and creating habits, it takes 30 days to develop a habit. So if you know that you're going to do something financially and you set your mind to it, you have to do it every day for 30 days until it becomes habit. So, and the behavioral side is you have to, I guess, build these routines, right? The habits, the behaviors. Like an alcoholic, you have to identify the fact that you're an alcoholic and you need help, right?
Right.
You can't just say, okay, yeah, I have a problem with alcohol and do nothing about it. Then nothing's ever going to change. If anything, it gets worse. It's the same thing with money. And if people can change their behaviors, then they'll be that much more better off. And that's what this system really does, is it helps hold the user accountable, because also as they're going along, they earn rewards along the way, right? Penny's
Right.
going to reward you with discounts and things like that. So if they're in there and they're using the system and they find it fun and engaging, that's what's going to help create that habit and those good behaviors.
That's awesome. Yeah, so it's interesting. I agree with you. Unfortunately, and I speak a lot to this to women because I would say that the vast majority of a lot of who we help happens to be women. And I'm a very big advocate for taking your financial seat at the table. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think that that means that you have to be the one handling it all. I don't think that that means that you have to understand it all. I think what it means is that you are, first of all, weighing in on what it is that you want, right? Like independently and as a couple, like what is this what does this information look like, and that you have an understanding of what exists, how much money, where is it going, how is all that looking. I mean, in my relationship, right, I obviously have a very good understanding about money. But as I joke all the time, like, I definitely am a spender by nature. You can tell by my 40,000 purple cups behind me, that I absolutely clearly do not need. But and so I mean, I have my husband handle a lot of some of the different bill aspect or whatever. Now, there's definitely some things that I handle as well. A lot more like household type items and things like that I kind of have the more of autonomy over. But if for some reason our entire financial house went down in complete flames, I could not blame and say, well, it's because my husband did it, because I had a very active seat. And I think honestly, it's the reason that our marriage didn't end when we were dealing with all of this cluster that we've been dealing with, because the truth is we know exactly where we stand with it, right? Like, I don't blame him, he doesn't blame me. We made those decisions together. We handled the things together, and ultimately they didn't work out exactly the way we'd hoped or planned. But the reality is we still made the decisions and the things together. And so, if you're going through a divorce, first of all, you do need to put good experts in your corner so that they can help you figure out the things that you don't know, that you're kind of in the dark about, right? That you don't have a clear understanding about. And if you're not there, but you think you either may be headed there, or you just want to get into a better position because all the fights tend to center around money or whatever, because this is obviously one of the biggest reasons for divorce, period, then I encourage you to start having these conversations, to start, and maybe even introducing a third party into the conversations, right?
Definitely.
So that there is somebody there who is helping you sort it out, and we're not playing the blame game of like pointing fingers and like, this is how it's all working out. And so I love that Penny is sort of designed to help hold your feet to the fire. I do think that behavior plays a role, but I will say the one thing I disagree with is, I think in order for the behavior to be changed, you have to address what's creating behavior in the first place. And so that's where I tell people a lot of times, and why I force them to dig really deep in Financial Mastery Simplified, because if you don't understand why the pattern exists or why the behavior exists, it's really hard to change it. It's not that you can change it.
That's fair.
Force it.
That's
You can
fair.
force the change. But if there's an underpinning of, well, my parents said that money is evil or whatever, or my religion said that this is how I should feel about money, or this trauma happened in my childhood, and so this is why I'm doing this thing about money. If you never address this, I promise, even as hard as you will hardwire the behavior to come around, this thing that you haven't addressed will continue to bubble up and pop up. And so that's where I'm so passionate about money and the intersect of the actual emotional component and like what's happening inside of you, because we all have that. We all have our own level of baggage that is going to come up in conversations, in reactions, in behavior surrounding money and everything else, obviously, right? But money is just like a little bit more obvious sometimes. And I think a lot of times, especially people in our space, they want it to be as simple as like, well, you're just not doing this. And I'm like, okay, but why? Why are you not doing that? Why are you not handling that? There has to be an actual reason. Because if you say, oh, the reason is you're irresponsible, I'm sorry, but I think that's bullcrap. Like, everybody has the ability to be responsible with money, to handle it in a way. Most of the time it's lack of education and the lack of the acknowledgement of the emotional component that is lying underneath, that we're just not addressing and we're just not handling appropriately.
I agree with what you're saying. Maybe I didn't phrase it. I was looking for something that I could show, but I don't see it here.
And I'm not saying that like you're not wrong. You do have to address the
No,
behavior.
but that's why I brought up. That's why I brought up like the whole thing with an alcoholic, right? You have to identify, be like, okay, yeah, I have a problem. Okay, now I need to fix it, right? That's why I brought that up. So that's exactly it. And people, they know why they don't have money, and it could be look, okay, my job's doesn't pay me enough. Okay, well, get a second job, right? Or go back to school, go back
Find
to
a job that
school
pays
while
you
you're
more.
in a job, right? Like, what it could be anything. So, of course, we know what it is. The problem is it's set aside, right? Because you're making excuses. That's what it is. So that's why I say it's about the change of behavior, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, again, this is why I'm just so passionate about education, because I feel like with good information and with you having, and that's where we're so blessed. I mean, we have more accessibility to information than we ever have in all of history. Although I'll be real, it's a little bit overwhelming for a lot of people. And so, people who are doing like what you're doing, where they're kind of trying to narrow it down, right? Help you make it a little bit easier for you. But you also have to be your own advocate, right? Like, I mean, I say this all the time, no offense, but nobody's coming to save you.
You're
Like,
right.
you have to be making the decision
So true.
that you want to be an active participant in your life. And I think that's a lot of times where I get most frustrated with people is, look, I don't care if you've made bad decisions, okay? Like, heck, I make bad decisions probably weekly, right? Sometimes with money, sometimes with something else, whatever. But if you're not being an active participant in your decisions and you're outsourcing everything to everybody else, like if they're just coming to you and saying, okay, Scott, here's my financials, just tell me what to do. Like, you have to be an active participant in that conversation. Like, okay, this is what my dreams are. This is where I would like to be or whatever. Like, this is how I would like to see my money grow, and you tell me, like, is that possible? Do I need to make adjustments? Like, whatever. Because I always tell people, choose your hard. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to get stuck like where you are just because of circumstances or whatever. But anybody has the ability to make a change to their situation if they're willing to change their environment and they're willing to step up and decide that they're going to step into it.
Totally. I couldn't agree with you more.
And I think, like, kind of as we are coming to the close, I would love for you to share a little bit more about the best way they can utilize, because I think your offer is, that they will be able to access this themselves, right? And that they can use that. So what is their best way to be able to lean into that, and how should they sort of be framing up their mind so that they are changing their behavior, right? So they are leading down the path of success financially.
Yeah, well, two things. One is I think people need to stop taking financial advice from their coworkers, their plumber, electrician, people sitting in the cafeteria,
Well,
or
meeting people who aren't experts.
yeah.
Drives me
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's number one. Um, Also, like, the talking heads of the world drive me absolutely crazy. They just speak in, they're amazing marketers, but just speak in complete generality. Every single person is different. So, and that's why Financial Fitness Passport exists. So, if they go to financialfitnesspassport.com, to the App Store to download the app, it takes 2 minutes for someone to go through the entire onboarding process, of which they'll get a temporary score because it's a self-assessment. That temporary score is just a starting point, and no one is going to judge. Penny doesn't judge. Okay.
What, the AI, the computer, does it come out and say, "For shame, Scott, how
Right.
dare you make that
Exactly.
decision?
Yeah. You're horrible. You
Yeah, you're a
suck."
horrible person."
Right? So that's what's great is that Penny's going to always, no matter what, Penny's going to always encourage the user. So now they get a temporary passport score that becomes their baseline. And we're also offering 7 days free for pros. So they have access to the entire system. And it's going to take them through cash flow, which is the foundation of all financial planning. Our cash flow is what drives our lives. And one thing you'll never see there is budget. No one wants to live by a budget. It's a bad word. People are scared of it. So we talk about it in terms of cash flow, as will Penny. They'll talk, go through emergency fund, and debt and investing, estate planning, taxes, how you're going to save money in taxes. And all along the way, as they accomplish or unlock their badges, they're going to earn rewards. It is very inexpensive for a pro membership. Okay. If you pay monthly, it's $10 a month. If you pay annually, it's $8 a month. So what is that? Like $6.80 or $7 a month. I mean, really, you go to Starbucks, you're going to pay more than that for a mocha frappalaka chocacino. Okay. So, I mean, like, this is a way to grab the bull by the horns and get educated and take action. And it literally, I don't care whether you're just starting out, you got your first job, you're 21 years old, or you're thinking about retirement, because there's everything in there and Social Security, your retirement number. I mean, there is nothing in there that we don't touch. It's really out there for all you guys.
I love that. Well, and I mean, that's such a, like I said, it's such a powerful thing. I mean, so often I don't think people are utilizing, some of these kind of resources to their fullest extent. So thank you, first of all, for coming and being our guest. And hopefully people found this episode helpful. And, if you're not there yet, hopefully, you're going to go try it out, at least get a score, see what that looks like. If you're not quite there yet, then, I mean, at least kind of start asking yourself questions, right? I mean, because you don't start down the path of figuring out, what it is you want. What do you want your financials to look like? Like, you don't take a proactive approach, then unfortunately you will end up landing on your face at some point, right? Maybe it's not today, maybe it's not tomorrow, maybe it's not, it takes 5 or 10 years or 15 years, right? But at some point in time, life is gonna life. And I hope for your sake it's not like mine, where it's been like a whole domino of life things all at one time. And so, yes. And so we look forward to seeing you on another episode of Financial Mastery Simplified. See you next week.